So let's talk about this human suit, right? And look, not all of us have the same human suit. There's various reasons for that. You know, in the past, I think that they've been talked about, were there ETs that came in and messed with the human DNA? Yep, that's happened too. And so there are some human suits that are a bit more challenged to tap into their gifts and abilities because, you know, some ETs came, messed with the human suit to make them ignorant about their total self, ignorant about their personal empowerment, ignorant about their purpose, so that they could, you know, serve the ETs. So that said, even though some people have had their human suits messed with, no matter who you are, the human suit is still the most impressive piece of artificial intelligence that's on this planet. And that's the one thing that I want to be able to, if there was, I don't know, one of the handful of key points that I would want you to take away from it, it's that. And so when you think about your human suit and how to use that to tap into the environment, think about it maybe like a radio antenna, and all around you are various radio frequencies, but you got to train it on what to tune into. Do you like to listen to R&B? Are you listening to country? Are you listening to jazz? Are you listening to oldies? Right? Just like in the radio, you know, you got to turn to the station to be able to listen to it. You have to do the same thing with your human suit. It's got all kinds of energies around you, but you have to train it into what to listen to and what to ignore. And again, that can only happen through experience. And so part of that experience is what's really important is you got to understand what your natural state is to be able to understand then what's the other things talking to you. That also means being able to understand the difference between pain and biologic, physical challenges and pains versus your human suit giving you, you know, talking to you. For example, I will have random, not so random, bouts of quote unquote plantar fasciitis or pain, you know, in my left foot and calf when I'm being told that I need to slow down and rest. And so, believe me, that one has taken me a long time to learn. And how did I learn that? Because, well, the first thing that I do, and I would encourage this to everybody, and this is where I think this is where everyone has is understanding is, hey, what is spiritual stuff talking to me and what is physical stuff talking to me? Well, try going through the physical stuff first, right? And I did. I went through, you know, I did all of the exercises and the physical therapy and things like that. And I definitely saw improvements, but it wouldn't take. And so I said to myself, this is crazy. There's no way that I can continue to do all of this work and still have these things kind of randomly flare up on me. I'm missing something, or something can't be right? And so then I started going down the path of understanding it as being spiritual. And my human suit talking to me and telling me that I needed to sit down and rest and focus on something else. And then when I did those things, then the pain went away. And so that is how I demonstrated and proved that to myself. Nothing should be a guess. All of this stuff is able to be objective. And it's very important that you put yourself through that learning experience to determine it for yourself, so that you can understand when to address things with spiritual healings and when to address things with more traditional healings. There's obviously a time and a place for both, right? The value and the wisdom is learning when the time and the place is for each. Some other important things to understand about the human suit. So just like, you know, I think people are very comfortable at this point in time, they understand that there's estrogen and testosterone. Both, you know, people in a male human suit and people in a female human suit are equipped with both. However, now traditional medicine would tell you that there's a certain line, a specific, I don't know, readings, whatever they're called, that, you know, a man is supposed to be in and then a female is supposed to be in. Everyone's very comfortable just saying, regardless of how I identify gender-wise, I got estrogen and testosterone going on inside of me. And based on the estrogen and the testosterone is going to affect various moods, personality, and things of that nature. Okay, so that's a traditional approach. Now let's take this down to a spiritual approach and say, instead of thinking about it in terms of estrogen and testosterone, let's think about it in terms of masculine energy and feminine energy, which is very different than being masculine or being feminine. For now, I think a simple way to think about the masculine energy is going to be revolved around the results. Why am I'm doing this to get to this result, and or creating this space. right? So for example, the universe is also made up of masculine and feminine energy. So the universe uses its masculine energy to create the universe and the space. And then it uses its feminine energy to enjoy and navigate the space. And so you think about the same thing as humans, right? Your masculine energy is focused on the outcome and creating a space, and your feminine energy is about learning how to navigate and enjoy that space. Right? And so depending on how, and obviously, and I would also tell you that while psychism, operates in both masculine and feminine energy, in order to be able to move up the ladder path and to tap into your total self, that you're going to need empathy and feminine energy. You cannot use strictly masculine energy and climb up the ladder path. And so masculine and feminine energy is something that is, as well as estrogen and testosterone, is something that the human suit was created to support the goals of that individual during their incarnation. So, while yes, you will look and see things on tests where things tend to operate in certain ranges, but then you also have outliers, right? And so instead of calling these outliers broken or telling people that everybody needs to operate inside of a range, yes, you need to make sure that you are biologically healthy. That is always a critical thing. You also need to understand, though, that if you start messing with your energies or hormones, those will also affect your spiritual gifts. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it is right or wrong to do that, but it is about understanding the cause and effect and how it's affecting you. Right? If you haven't noticed, when I talk about things, it's not about the one-dimensional, always this or never that. It's about the duality. It's about when do I do this or when don't I do this, and how and why. And then when you do that, then you're also able to be at peace with the situation, especially when you don't fit in. And being able to be at peace in that situation and at peace with your decision goes back to learning how to understand yourself, accept yourself, love yourself, right? And removing those barriers between your little self and your total self. So wait a second, Graham, are you telling me so how does this whole man, woman, human suit and like family and stuff like that tie into it? Oh, well, yeah, universe doesn't care who you sleep with. As long as both parties are willing. Consent is what matters. Love is what matters, right? And not to mention, consciousness is, remember, you're here to be stewards. Empathy, walk a mile in another person's shoes to understand. So that means consciousnesses will incarnate in both masculine human suits and feminine human suits. This is a very sensitive topic, and I recognize this. People say, hey man, my human suit's broken. It just doesn't work properly. Well, remember what I said about maintaining love through adversity? Well, some of this quote unquote not working properly is part of that learning how to maintain love through adversity. And some of that is also helping people that maybe didn't demonstrate empathy in prior lives. Well, by having some of these challenges now is for them to learn the empathy. So if you're wanting to get out of a unproductive hamster wheel of learning, learn empathy, learn compassion, and just see what happens to you and see what happens to the quality of your life. And the other thing that's really important to understand is when you think about being a valuable member of society, well, when we think about and understand ourselves as biologic entities only, well, then we're only as good as our contributions on this materialistic plane, or we're only as good as our contributions, our ability to earn money, or our contributions to go to work for somebody else. Well, that's not why you're here, right? You're here for you, and you're also here for the collective consciousness. And so I would also challenge you then to think about people that quote unquote seem disabled or different, or maybe don't fit into society's box of a productive member of society. And I want you to think about what their contributions to the collective consciousness might be when it comes to their light, their love, their compassion, their empathy, their ability to show and demonstrate the beauty of love. I mean, think about how many people have you run across where you could say, wow, if there's a person that's got every reason to be upset with the world, it's them. And yet, look at the gratitude and enjoyment of life that they have. How do they do that? That's the question. That's another $1 million question. That's, right? So instead of looking at these people and saying, hey, there's something wrong. No. It's, wait a second. we need to learn from them. What is it that they figured out? These people are here to lead by example and to demonstrate what matters. And when you start to recognize the beauty that everybody has as an individual to offer, it makes it much easier to live a life of connectivity, a life of gratitude, and understanding the intelligent design. So I'll wrap up this video just by saying that, yeah, it's easy to judge others. It's easy to compare yourself to others. And it's easy to make yourself feel better about yourself when you look at others and say they're less fortunate than you. But I would also ask you, how many times has that really made you feel better? How many times has that really healed the soul? Compared to the time when you reached out a hand to lift somebody up who was less fortunate. And how did that heal the soul?